Welcome to the Dynasty Vipers Vipercast, where all things football are injected right to your veins. With your hosts, Matt Donnelly, Calvin Shoemake, and Jeff Mueller.
What is up, and welcome to an all-new Team Spotlight series from the Dynasty Vipers. And if you just take a look around, we've got an all-star cast, and we're going to talk about the Washington football team. I'm pumped to do this. I'm excited to have a chance to talk to these guys who I'm going to introduce here in just a second. Before I do, just a quick, here's exactly what we're going to do today with the Dynasty Vipers. So we like to talk about Dynasty fantasy football. And calendar turns to January, February, and everybody starts talking about rookies, and we should definitely think about the rookies and talent and all those things. But we also want to look at the teams that they find themselves in. So we're going to talk about coaching. We're going to talk about off-season moves. We'll talk about the draft and what these guys think that their team will do. What I love to do is have guys on who understand football, understand fantasy football, smart people who know what they're doing, and nobody knows your team like you know your team. So we're going to get them to talk about that, have them break it down. Before we do, just want to give you all a chance to get to know who they are. So Robbie, let's start with you. Just tell everybody just who you are, where to find you, and I'll have to limit some of you guys. I'll have to limit to just maybe your top 3 things you got going on, so because most of you guys are doing about 1 million things right now.
RumBoyz Robbie. Catch me at RumBoyz, spelled with a Z, Net. It's where you can find me on all social media. RumBoyz Fantasy Network on TikTok, RumBoyz.com. Just Google me. You can find me anywhere and everywhere. And get up with us Super Bowl weekend. We about to get lit for you guys. Dilly.
Appreciate that. Jorge, let's toss it over to you. Tell everybody who you are and where they can find you and what you're working on.
Well, first, thanks for having me on. So I'm Jorge Edwards. I'm the owner and creator of fantasyandframes.com. And the podcast host for Fourth and Frames, our fantasy football podcast there. I've been doing this for a few years, just love fantasy football. You know, we're delving into Dynasty this year. We have IDP, redraft, you name it. Really excited to talk about Washington football, though, because as you said, there's nobody more passionate than us fans.
Awesome. Chase, kick it over to you. What's the top 3 things you're working on right now?
Chase got the mute button.
Oh, yeah, mute button.
I'm really good at this. I've actually done this before. I swear I've done this before. What's going on, Calvin, man? How you been? It's been a minute.
Hey, good.
Now, we're sitting over there at Fantasy Intervention. Join our circle _ over there on Twitter. We actually just launched our store today, which was absolutely insane. We've got everything from clothing with Viridian Global over there to stickers, pins, koozies, all sorts of crazy stuff. So that's pretty awesome. That's at fantasyintervention.com. Go show some support. And yeah, we've just been cranking stuff out, man. Like we have something like 8 articles right now in the pipeline, 3 of what we call like these quick shots that are in the pipeline, which are like shorter segments about, a player or situation. And then we're going to be launching a brand new series. Well, we just launched another new series with Taste Testers. We're launching a brand new series called The Bar Fight. It's just crazy, man. We got so much stuff going on. We're still doing 4 podcasts a week. We have 1 game show on Thursdays. It's just been nuts, man. It's been nuts. It's been crazy.
It's cool to keep up with, and there's so many good things on your site right now. Like that article today from Cooter Doodle is awesome, like just hilarious. And make sure you guys check them out. But what joins all of you guys here together is, and what you have in common, not only football, but specifically the Washington football team. And it's obviously a franchise with a lot of history. I'm wearing my Sean Taylor jersey right now. That I got, yeah, there you go.
Mine's all worn out though. Sean Taylor, baby.
I got the old school. I got the old school one. I got this back in like a couple years ago. Like I want to say.
Yeah, man. Same here. Look how faded.
Yeah. I just leave it on a hanger. I've never washed a smug like once, honestly. For real.
I have to, man. I get too crazy when I'm watching football, man. This shit gets messed up. So this is actually the first time I put it on since he passed away. So thought I'd do it for the show.
I dig.
Some awesome history. Just give me a little bit of Chase. I'll just kick it back over to you, and we'll go back around the room the opposite way we came in. Just your history with the team, a little bit about what it's like to be a Washington football team fan.
I'm actually not a fan right now. Okay, I renounced my fandom over the summer, and no, it's something that although I say that I'm not a fan, I'm not going to buy any of their merchandise or anything like that up until I start seeing a change. Especially starting with the heads of the organization. But it's something I swear they're still always going to hold a place in my heart. I'm going to watch them every Sunday, and root for them, of course. But been a fan ever since I was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 is when I started watching. So it's been 26, 27 years or so that I've been a fan of this team.
Jorge?
So I've been following this team since the last time they won a Super Bowl. So needless to say, things have kind of gone a little downhill ever since. And I kind of disagree with Chase. I think what they've done since the summer and having one of the most diverse front offices is pretty impressive. They have a lot of damage control to do. I get it. It's not going to go away overnight, but they're making the appropriate strides, I feel. And, for the fan base, people want to say that, they won a horrible division. Yes, but you know what? Someone had to. And at the end of the day, are we really going to apologize for winning? I don't think we should.
I think they should apologize to us so we could get a better draft pick, but it is.
First, I just want to say, cheers to me, cheers to you, shouts to the whole entire Dynasty Vipers crew. I'm eternally grateful for being a part of your show tonight. Thank you. Second, I grew up in a family to where everybody was somehow, some way affiliated with the NFC East. My uncle was a New York Giants fan. My own birth father was a Cowboys fan. My stepdad, he was a Giants fan. So on and so forth. My brother's an Eagles fan. Me, I align with my grandfather. May he rest in peace. He passed away back in 2010. Grew up going to the games. That's Chase's dog. Yeah. It's all good, homie. As soon as I hear him bark, I got
to the show. Yeah, welcome to the show.
But so grew up around the organization, clubhouse seats. I've met Schneider, I've met Darryl Green, Doug Williams. It's just kind of burgundy and gold just courses through my veins. So it's only right to be here and talk about it.
So it came up already. So let me just toss this out. So obviously, for the first time I can ever remember, where we have a franchise with no name. I mean, it's it's the Washington football team. So obviously that took a little bit of getting used to for everybody. And I worked really hard to try and make sure I didn't slip up and say the other name in this podcast. But they have done a lot. To Jorge's point, they have actually made a little bit of strides. And then this offseason, one of the first moves that they made was signing Jennifer King, assistant running back coach. Very first. She is the first Black woman hired as a full-time coach ever in the history of the NFL. So it does seem like maybe there's been some moves, like you said, Jorge. Maybe a little bit of work that they obviously still have to do. But talk about 2020 and obviously, the name, if you want to, mention on that. But just overall as a franchise, what was it like in 2020? I'll kick it. Jorge, I'll go with you first and then just bounce it off of everybody else as we go.
Well, as an overview, let's go back to the summer, like the name change, the scandal that was coming out in the Washington Post, the mass exodus of fans leaving because they couldn't handle the name change, the rapid name change to football team. I mean, I don't think anybody was expecting that. But at the same time, you can't change something like that overnight. I'm glad they're doing their due diligence and trying to figure out what the new name is going to be. But I want to say that this team, it overachieved in certain respects. I think the best thing we can take away from this season is, as Aaron Rodgers said about the Packers last year, we got a defense. And we're pretty darn good on defense. We have some holes to fix on offense, but they showed a lot of grit. From the storylines of Coach Rivera battling cancer to, I think all of us as Washington fans breathed a huge sigh of relief when Alex Smith took that first sack from Aaron Donald and got up and was okay. We can only imagine what his wife and family were thinking during that game. Just a lot of good things going on, a lot of it rising above adversity for this team. Couldn't be more proud of them.
Hop in, Chase.
Yeah, I mean, sitting there, and I don't want to harp on this for too much, obviously, but for them to sit there and have to be forced to change their name is ridiculous, and for them not to have a backup plan when we already knew that was coming, like this should have already been fixed. Like this should have already been prepared, ready to go. Like you shouldn't have to fight with what is it, a realtor or whatever he was that ended up owning about 20 of the possible team names that he just ended up buying. Like there was, I mean, literally it was just like, why is this an issue now? Why wasn't this fixed prior to? And it all just kind of came to a head along with the scandals that were happening too. So, you know, it's just a dysfunctional franchise. And that's something that if you're going to be a fan of it, you just have to come to grips with. And, you know, hopefully we see that change. But everything from McLuhan, you know, with the power struggle and getting fired all the way to the decision to play RG3 a little bit too soon. And it's not like nothing has changed, even with the changes made in the front office with Bruce Allen coming in, with the head coaching changes. Everything has stayed the exact same, and it starts up at the head. It starts up at the head of the organization. But when it comes to 2020, real quick, I thought it was encouraging that they did have some standout studs. I thought that the whole Trent Williams handling thing is very disappointing because we definitely needed an offensive lineman, which I'm sure we're going to dive into. But there are so many holes on this offense that it's going to take more than a couple years before this team is ready to compete. And it gets me a little bit worried because a lot of these defenders, first round, you know, draft picks and whatnot on the defensive line are going to try and demand some hefty contracts. Now, you know, we could talk about the contracts and whatnot as the show goes on, but it's very encouraging to see some of these studs stick out. But at the same sense, it's also a little bit discouraging that we do have so many holes on the offense.
So I mean, touching on you know, first the name thing. Yeah, we should have definitely had a backup plan. But as we saw in recent events this past week that have not a thing to do with football, the internet is undefeated. And when you say that, hey, we're going to change our name, and there is some very wealthy, I believe he was an attorney that lived in Alexander, Arlington. I apologize. He lived in Arlington. He lived in Arlington, Virginia. I want to make sure I quote the story correctly from the Washington Post. They lived in Arlington, Virginia, nice penthouse type of guy. You know that this guy is loaded, right? And buys out all of the rights to not one, not two, but like 13 different names. Like buys the rights. So, you know, we have to wait for the year, and you know, now we're trying to, you know, see what's going to happen with that because now that's up. So first things first, always make sure that you license, you LLC, you know, all that good stuff. Football aside, that's just business 101, guys. Okay.
Yep.
The fact that you didn't do that, Washington, and your legal team wasn't on that's shame on you. Shame me once, you know, fool on me, you know, shame me twice. You know what I'm saying? You know. Mm-hmm. So that's just with the name thing, and I like that there's a little bit of humor behind that headline. Now with the organization moving forward in 2020, I like that you touched on a little bit, Chase, there about, you know, the past and Allen and things of those nature. But now here we are in 2020. You mentioned Jennifer King, Cal. I would like to bring up the hire of Mayhew coming from San Fran. I think that is an impressive hire. You have Rivera there as the head coach. This is now becoming an organization, and maybe the name change, not even maybe, it's clear that the name change had some influence on a lot of these minority hires within the organization. I think that this is beautiful, not just beautiful from that standpoint, from the social justice standpoint, but also beautiful from the standpoint of we are getting football people running the football team. How coincidental is this? We did not have that before in the previous regime that Chase had mentioned during his take, and now we have it. I could not be more excited. It's a shame we missed out on Stafford, but there are plenty more options for us to go for. I think we get us a wide receiver too, you know, to complement McLaurin. Marvin Jones, hit me up, answer my tweets, dog. Let's go. And then, you know, we get us the wide receiver too, compliment, you know, McLaurin, and then we're back to 2015, back to being a quarterback away. That same conversation now comes up again.
I have an idea for a wide receiver too that I want to mention to all you guys later in the show, but I'll save that. That'll be a little tease, and I'll see how you guys feel about it as we go on. But so I want to start. We start right there at the top with the name, with the you know, I feel like that's just something that's part of the story. I mean, obviously in 2020, that's part of what happened in Washington football. I mean, that's got to talk about that, and I want to go down like from the top of the organization to the head coaching, and just want to get a taste around the room. Just scale of 1 to 10, confidence level in Ron Rivera. Robbie.
I will say it a 7.5. Am I allowed to do decimals? Can I go 7.5? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Then I'll go with the decimals 7.5. He did some great things in Carolina, and his defensive expertise clearly transitioned. That he didn't lose a single step in that. How are we going to bring along this offense begins to be the question, and that goes into my take earlier. I think we solved the wide receiver 2 thing first at the very least. Maybe we risk it to get the biscuit with Heineke this year, and then continue forward. From there we find a quarterback, or maybe we draft something. Who knows?
Jorge,
yeah, I'll go an 8. I'll keep with the whole numbers here. I think the mishandling of the quarterback situation during training camp, that kind of set this team back this season a little bit. You talk about development, and then all of a sudden, no, we're in win now mode. Then we'll make up your mind. And they kind of kept that same mantra throughout the season. It's kind of remarkable that things kind of gelled together when they did, and how they did in 2020. But definitely the training camps debacle has me with a little bit less confidence.
Chase, you're stroking your beard down there. You've probably got something genius to say right now. Let's go. Hit me with it.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, so I like Ron Rivera. I'm not like a huge fan of his. I'm not like, oh my God, he's amazing. But I'd say 6 or 7. Is where the confidence should lie. I mean, overall, he wasn't somebody that really dominated in Carolina. He had a couple good seasons, and to be honest with you, he had a losing record coming out of that, or he had lost more seasons than he had winning seasons. So that's not very promising. Now, the players obviously love him, right? Like the players, will go out on a limb for him and fight for him. But at the same stretch, he also kind of creates an abrasive atmosphere around him that some players don't always buy into. So when I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it and I'm trying to figure out, where I kind of like want to base it, I started looking at his decision making and trading away Quentin Dunbar for a 5th round pick, and he was the number 2 graded overall cornerback on the season. He could have fit right in, helped out, and it would have allowed Kendall Fuller to play a little bit more in the slot instead of outside as much as he did. Instead, Jimmy Moreland got burned from time to time on the inside. Now, that was questionable. Then he had certain play calls that were questionable throughout the season. Like I believe there's one opportunity where he went for 2 instead of tying the game, no risk it, no biscuit type atmosphere. Listen, like certain players don't always love that if they feel like their defense, especially the way that it plays, has an opportunity to win them the game. Our defense always gave us the opportunity to win the game. In fact, they pretty much won the game for us in multiple opportunities. So the risk it, no biscuit thing does apply to an extent, but you don't have a good offense in order enough to be risking it like that on a regular basis. So there are so many different opportunities or calls that I feel like he blew, whether it was, in the back office or, up front. Like, for example, trading the same 5th round we got, or the 5th round pick for Kyle Allen. Like that just wasn't a trade that made sense to me, although he does know the system that he was bringing in. So it was just interesting.
A lot of, I don't know if this joke is solid enough. A lot of living up to his nickname of Riverboat Gambling on, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. But that's not the type of guy that I want to install confidence in. I want somebody that's in, a smart football player that's going to follow the analytics, not somebody that says, hey, we're going to roll out, this offense who has 2 playmakers on the entire offense versus letting your defense go back out in the field. It was just small calls like that kind of got to me a few times. It made me question his coaching abilities. Now, do I think he's a good coach? Yes, I think he's a very good coach. I think he's a very good teacher, which is very important. You've seen him develop multiple different players over in Carolina, which is something that I look at big time, is the development of your players. He was able to develop guys like Quan Short and Josh Norman. And literally I could just go off in an endless stream of players he was able to develop, which is something that Washington has not been able to do in years and years. Like when was the last time that we drafted a player who, had a ton of potential and became an all-star?
Cameron Curl, I think, is going to be that guy.
Yeah.
I 100% believe that Cameron Curl is going to be that guy.
In 2 years, I think, once they have a more friendly cap hit number with Landon Collins. Right now, I think next year is his last year of double-digit dead cap situation.
You said the magic word cap. Let's talk about cap situation, because there is a lot of good news when it comes to the cap situation with the Washington football team, because they are $33 million under the cap. Now, you mentioned the defense, the strong defense. There are a couple of players, but they're older. I mean, it's kind of the older guys, Ryan Kerrigan, the Thomas Davis, Kevin Pierre-Louis, Ronald Darby. Ronald Darby was only 27, but those are kind of the on the defensive side, the unrestricted free agents that you may or may not sign and bring back. Maybe you can mention that. Seems like the big one is Brandon Scherf at 30 years old, right there. Offensive line. Chase, you alluded to it. Would you say with this team, we're going to leave quarterback out of it for just a second because I want to talk a lot about the quarterback, but just would you say the offensive line, that's maybe where the biggest need on the team is as far as drafting and obviously quarterback, but after that?
Yeah, I mean, by far the biggest need is going to be offensive line. And, you have like Joe Thuney out there who's an option to replace Brandon Scherf if he doesn't end up, fitting in or whatever the case is. But I mean, there are options out there to try and piece together an offensive line, but we saw how that worked with the Jets this past year where, they did spend some money on some free agents. They drafted a couple guys and the Jets offensive line was still brutal because it takes time to develop. And that's one of the things that, I'm focusing on when I'm doing my research was looking at teams who piece together offensive lines, whether it be through the draft or whatever the case is. It takes a while to get these guys all on the same page, and not having Bill Callahan, man, that's a significant blow to this franchise, letting him walk and go to the Browns. It's kind of funny. I actually wanted to get Kevin Stefanski as our head coach and keep Bill Callahan on as the offensive line coach / assistant head coach. And yeah, they both ended up with the Browns. But sitting there and looking at it, I mean, they could end up reworking some of these contracts and actually opening up even more cap space than, what's just there on paper. I mean, we're sitting there, we're looking at it. If we cut Alex Smith, we're talking about saving $14 million. I don't know that they would do that. I personally would. You're sitting there, you're looking at Morgan Moses and being able to rework his deal. That could end up saving us a couple million a year. We could work out or rework Matt Ioannidis' deal. Wes Schweitzer, if we just decide to stick with him and make him one of our starting offensive linemen. I mean, there's just literally like contract after contract after contract where we can save at least a couple million. And we're talking about probably walking into 2021, if they rework these contracts correctly, with maybe close to like 50 or 60 million, very similar to what it was last year before we blew all of our money on Landon Collins.
Yeah, the more you turn over the details on the contracts, it does seem like the more excited you get for what moves that they could make. It could be a team that just quietly has a monster offseason. And I know, like, for years, it was like, oh, Washington's going to try and win the offseason. But it does seem like they're in a position to actually maybe do some good and do. So, Jorge, I'm going to just start with you on this because I think I cut you off on the last one. So I'm going to go back to you. But let's talk about the quarterbacks because Chase mentioned there, Alex Smith, you could cut him and save $14 million. It does sound like Alex Smith is excited to play next year. He wants to come back. He felt like his body responded well to playing this year. So lots of interesting comments there. But obviously, Washington is pretty aggressive going after quarterbacks right now. Lots of reports about what they offered to Detroit for Matt Stafford. They seem to be in on, other big name quarterbacks that are out there right now, or maybe even not publicly out there, but they're trying to see if they can do something. What do you think with the quarterback position? Where do you think this team ultimately lands on day one, 2021?
Well, first, I think the starting quarterback for Washington is not on this roster right now. I agree with you. I think Alex Smith is he's going to have to take a pay cut, or they're going to have to restructure something because they're not going to pay him what he's being paid right now, first and foremost. I don't think that, as much as, us Washington fans would love for the big splashy trade for Deshaun Watson. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? That would set us back so much. That just sounds stupid to me. At the same time, I'm looking at Ron Rivera, an older coach, he just beat cancer. His coaching years are probably fewer and far between. Do you really think he wants to settle for a rookie quarterback or a developmental project at this point in his career? His defense is solid. If anything, I would see them trying to address, their deficiency at free safety, to be honest with you. As far as quarterbacks are concerned, as far as options, we look at, here's a name that I'm just going to throw out there that I would totally be fine with. I would totally be fine with Ryan Fitzpatrick being a 1-year stopgap for a quarterback, maybe even a Jameis Winston, as a free agent. It's one of those things we have to decide if you're the front office. Do you want to solidify the thing you're good at, or do you want to be okay at little things? And I think really their defense, they're up front, their pressures. just so good. They're just so good. They were good in coverage. They were good against the run, good against the pass. They were like, I think, top 5 in finishes in all these categories when it comes to first down percentage allowed. I'm more concerned about the defense, to be honest with you, than I am the quarterback situation. They'll get that quarterback situation figured out pretty soon.
Robbie, could the world handle Jameis Winston in the hands of Riverboat Ron?
I think we can handle. I think we could handle a Jameis Winston. Even we don't even have to go that far. We could go a Bridgewater. We could go a Fitzpatrick. I gotta say George. Is it George or Jorge?
Jorge.
Jorge. Okay. Hey, so Dominicano. So I gotta make sure, Papi. So I just gotta make sure.
I appreciate that.
No. Hey, Jorge. I love what you said about Fitzpatrick. I gotta ask, man. Maybe you checked out some previous RumBoyz content, like around from week 12 on. You know what I'm saying, Pimp? Because that's the exact same thing that I had said. Fitzpatrick coming in as a 1-year starter. I don't mind us even going for a 30 for 30 ESPN special 2020 vision Jameis. I'm okay with that. Anyone and everyone but Alex Smith at this point, because you were the comeback story, but as a reporter, I love having a good storyline. Feed me that all day. But I can't live off of storylines as a fan. As a fan, I want us to bring in a guy that, hey, even if we got to wait a year and then find that guy in the draft, in 2022, we can do that. I don't think that for 2021 we should maybe go and get a quarterback, or if we do, have that guy maybe sit behind one of the veteran names that I mentioned, or even Jameis.
Yeah, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it and I don't see why they would bring in, Ryan Fitzpatrick if we already have Alex Smith. I don't think that's that much of an upgrade for a system that Ron Rivera wants to run.
I know that he is.
System? I feel like that is an upgrade. I feel like that is an upgrade from someone that had a gimp leg.
Yeah. To tucking it down 5 yards down the field to a guy who can air it out at least still in his career.
I think that Alex Smith still can air it out. The issue was the time allowed in the pocket. They were getting constant pressure. And I'm not saying that Alex Smith is, he was airing it out his last year with the Chiefs. And I'm not saying that he was ready to do it this past year, but with another offseason to be able to heal up, to be able to strengthen that leg, to be able to plant. I mean, you're talking about, I just don't see it as that much of an upgrade. And when you have $10 million in dead cap, and then you bring on another quarterback that's going to cost what? It'll probably cost at least $20 million or so, if not 18, maybe. You might be able to get him for 18. So you're talking about now investing almost $30 million into the quarterback position. I know it's a stopgap. I know we should have plenty of cap space, but that's just not the direction I would hope to go.
I see one of my. No, I'm sorry. I saw one of my writers, and they're like, "Would you guys take a chance on Wentz or Hurts?"
Yeah,
I take a chance on
that up next. Yeah,
I take a chance on Hurts, but Wentz.
Yeah, I don't know about
go somewhere, Lieutenant Dan.
No, so. Sitting there looking at it, I love the Jameis Winston take to an extent. It would still make me nervous being a fan, and then also not having an offensive line. But the biggest thing that's going to scare me, the number one thing that's going to scare me that I cannot deal with again, is Washington going in and taking another rookie quarterback without having an offensive line. I mean, dude, Patrick Ramsey, first round pick, couldn't stay in the pocket, ended up having what do they call it, dancing feet or whatever, I mean,
he was kind of taking footloose. He was footloose.
Yeah, he couldn't. He was dancing because he was afraid to get hit. Jason Campbell, afraid to get hit. He got hit so much. We sit there, we look at who was the next one. RG3 obviously got hurt. Yeah. Then we have Dwayne Haskins, who didn't have an offensive line and wasn't able to develop the proper ways. And I didn't like Dwayne Haskins. That was my least favorite pick out of all those guys. I hated the Dwayne Haskins pick. I thought we should have gone with Dillard. Yeah. So we could develop a right tackle, and then when Trent Williams was ready to move on with his contract, which should have been this year, by the way, he would have slid over to left tackle. So that's what I was really, hoping for when it came to, building this offensive line. But how many times are we going to put a rookie quarterback back there without an offensive line? And a lot of people are talking about Mac Jones, and I don't think Mac Jones can handle that because he's been behind a clean pocket the entire, his entire career, I guess. Or I should say year and a half in college, with Alabama. So it would just scare the hell out of me. And that's the one direction I don't want them to go with.
I mean, they gave up the second most sacks in the league last year. And I don't want to put a rookie back there either. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, to be honest with you. But that's why I'm going back to Fitzpatrick versus Smith. You're drawing that comparison again. There's one thing I can trust Fitzpatrick to do: scramble. I can't trust Alex Smith to scramble. And I don't think he'd be as expensive as you think he might be.
I can so see Ron Rivera liking a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick. And, I spent years, I'm a Saints fan, so years going against Ron Rivera, and it just seems like that would fit a little bit. But look, we're like 5 minutes into the quarterback conversation. Nobody mentioned Taylor Heinicke. I'm a little disappointed. I got to be honest with you.
I think I did mention earlier in the episode so far that if we need to risk it to get the biscuit, we can roll out with Heinicke.
He got a T-shirt out of this deal with Fanatics, with him, reaching over the pylon to score the touchdown. He got his moment. He's a great backup option, but I wouldn't put my starting hopes in him.
I'm definitely going to get the Heinicke
get a chance.
I'm definitely going to get the Heinicke shirt where it's him reaching across the goal line and his Groot trying to stop it.
Oh, that's cool. That's funny.
Okay, give me the yes or no. Just a gut reaction, yes or no on this. We know there's history. Cam Newton.
No, because he could have traded for Cam Newton with a 5th-round pick, and he traded for Kyle Allen instead. And then Cam Newton was released like 2 days later. So if he wanted Cam Newton, he could have got him with a 5th-round pick for sure.
Talk that ish. Good stuff, man. I like it.
Jorge, same thing?
In terms of, no, I want to stay away as far away from Cam Newton as possible.
Yeah, no, we don't want him. I want to make sure that I don't want him. There's no way we end up with him. There's no way.
No matter what the Washington fan is, we all have some way that we all can like find something that we all agree on. Like there's always one thing.
Absolutely.
Oh,
I'm a little surprised the Deshaun Watson thing kind of got shut down a little bit. You guys seem to be more excited to have like Ryan Fitzpatrick than Deshaun Watson. I'm a little surprised.
I have a reason.
Okay.
I have a reason.
Okay, go ahead.
My reasoning is because I don't necessarily. All right, one, I know that we need the draft picks, so I don't want us to hurry up and give up the draft picks. But if we had to go and get Watson, and let's say we did indulge in that conversation, cool. I'm okay with auctioning off some draft picks. The second you start looking at our defense, and that's what's already winning us games, and I realized that I'm like, oh snap, we got to possibly send you Montez Sweat. I'm not with that. No.
Yeah, they said, I think somebody said that they would want 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and then 2 defensive starters. Who are you taking out of the starting defense that you're okay with parting ways with? I think everyone, maybe Landon Collins if they absorb that contract, and then you got Cameron Curl.
So that was, I'd be okay with doing a sign and trade with Ryan Kerrigan, right? Where we franchise tag him essentially, and then we send Ryan Kerrigan, Landon Collins, but I haven't seen the cap hit on that, so I don't want to get too far ahead of myself with that one. And then if they want to take on Matt Ioannidis and then 1 first-round pick.
I feel like that'd be probably the most logical because we lose some age. And I think that Cam Curl is the future anyways. By the way, being that we are on a Dynasty show, if you guys in the chat are in the Dynasty League with me and that's IDP, send Cameron Curl my way.
Nice.
So Matt Ioannidis would be a $3 million cap hit. Landon Collins would be 18.8, so that would be the tough pill to swallow. Meanwhile, we wouldn't see a cap hit from Kerrigan. So, I mean, you're talking about having a $21 million cap hit, plus bringing in Sean Watson. But Sean Watson, you have to remember, has never had an offensive line, and he still played at all-star levels. Now, injury concern gets me a little bit, but I think that he can deal with not having an offensive line, better than any other quarterback probably out there that we could bring in. So if there was one person, I'd be okay. Like if there were the 3 guys that I could sit there and send over to them and then add in a first-round draft pick, and they would take that, which I think it's worth it for both sides. It essentially rebuilds their defense almost, and they get a draft pick from it. I don't see why not.
Well, what makes it more worth it is we're giving you experienced players already. You're not having to worry about getting them up to the speed of the game. So we're going to give you some defensive, guys that can train the practice squad guys for a couple of years, give you some leadership. You're probably gonna, have to move on. You are gonna have to move on past JJ Watt more than likely. So I mean, we're helping you out there on that standpoint. Whenever you have to move on past him, so that works out for them. We get Watson to now go along with what you said about the offense, Chase. You've already done it without an offensive line. As long as you got a 4-4-3 Terry McLaurin, and we can bring over, I don't know, Corey Davis, Marvin Jones Jr. I want Marvin Jones Jr. more as a wide receiver too. But I mean, if we can get one of those guys, or even I'll take a flyer on Valdez Scantling. But if we can get one of those 3, then boom. Like, I'm with this. I like it, Chase.
I do want to add in one more thing. We add in another first-round pick in 2022, and we also get J.J. Watt.
Yeah, I'm going to be the conservative one in the group and say, you know what? Stick to keep building your team as you have been doing it. It's working so far. I get it. Watson is Watson, and everyone can sing to the high praises. What did he lead the league in passing yards this year? Besides being the most sacked quarterback,
Yeah.
The talent is undeniable. But let's say they don't address offensive line again. I mean, I understand your point, Chase, as far as like he's done well with a bad offensive line, but the odds aren't in your favor over the course of a career that you play your entire career behind a bad offensive line and bad things aren't going to happen.
I agree with that. Real quick, just to sit there and throw it out, I believe I'm trying to look it up. My computer's slow as hell when I'm on live streams. Matt Ioannidis, I think he's on the last year of his contract, right? Or did he re-sign a new one?
He's unrestricted this, or let me pull it up.
He has $3 million in dead cap space if we cut him in 2021. Yeah, this is so 2022.
Ioannidis contract.
Yep. So we'll lose him after this. Oh no, we have one more year before we lose him. So yeah, he's got 2 years left.
Yeah, I didn't write him down as one of your free agents that needed to be re-signed, but
in 2019 he signed a 3-year deal. So
okay, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so Robbie, let me toss this one out to you. Obviously, brand new running back, whoever is going to be the quarterback, is going to like having a really nice two-headed attack with J.D. McKissic and Antonio Gibson. Talk a little bit about, like, we had no idea what Antonio Gibson was going to be. He had 33 carries. We could guess. We could take, everybody could give their opinion on what it could look like. But man, I think it looked better than even maybe his most optimistic supporters. I love Antonio Gibson. As a Washington fan, what did you see when you watched him?
I at first it took a minute for me to warm up because I also used to play football. I played overseas when I was in the military. So I kind of saw that slow progression where it's like you're trying to use him just like CMC. Why not just use him like the person that he is, like Gibson? Stop trying to just use him like CMC. And I think after a while, he kind of came into his own. And I want to say that the biggest eye opener for me was Thanksgiving Day. That's when I was like, we can rock with you. You're the future of our backfield. I think that it took him a while to get his NFL legs underneath him. But I think that for dynasty owners out there, they should be ecstatic if they already have him. And if you don't have him, that would be someone I'd be trying to go out and get.
So I'm going to kind of disagree slightly with what you're saying. We all on this panel love the Thanksgiving game. But Dallas wasn't exactly slowing anybody down this year either. So, but that being said, like, the talent is undeniable. What concerns me is his reception upside with J.D. McKissic still being there. Washington was 25th in the NFL in rushing attempts, 28th in yards per carry. They were good on first down percentage though, and getting first down. So it makes me wonder: is this team going to really commit to their running back situation, running the ball versus passing the ball to the running backs in coverage? And with McKissic being there, with this being more of a pass-oriented team, if they don't up his, targets, that's going to concern me, at least from like a real football perspective as well as a fantasy football perspective.
I think that we will begin to commit more towards run. One, because of McKissic's age. Two, because Gibson, like I said, I felt like he finally started coming into his own. He also did well against the Bucs, I believe, against Tampa. What was it, 74 yards or something like that? Not in the playoff game, or a preview to that. So I mean, I have no qualms with Gibson, but I do see what you're saying.
I guess short-term versus long-term, investments, like you said, from a dynasty perspective, like 3, 4 years, 5 years down the road, like, yeah, he could definitely pay dividends. For somebody, for a short-term stopgap, I'm a little concerned, especially like, Chase, you keep going back to it. Like, if they don't address this offensive line, then, he's not going to be running against anybody. The NFC East, the Eagles, they were one of the better defensive lines against the run. We're good when we're taking on talent that we should be beating. That's something I think was different this year than other previous years. We beat the teams that we were supposed to beat. Too bad we weren't playing more of them. The question is, we're not beating the teams that we're not supposed to beat. You look at the Pittsburgh game, Pittsburgh's front seven, really good, but they weren't running the ball that much because they weren't that effective with Gibson. They had to throw the ball to McKissick more. And I mean, at the end of the day, as a Washington, I almost slipped up right there. As a Washington fan, I'll take the win however I can get it, right? At the same time, it gives me a little bit of pause for the short term what his value is. I've seen some early mock drafts for redraft. I know I'm talking redraft, and we just got to February, where he's going in the late second round, third round. That kind of concerns me.
Yeah, I wouldn't do second round. I mean, that third round.
Right. No, exactly. That's where I'd feel more comfortable selecting him. So I don't know. That's just my take on that. Look, the talent is there. I'm not going to deny that.
He's an RB2. He's a fantasy RB2.
God, stop it. All right, you guys, real quick. You guys know what position he played in college, right? He wasn't a running back. He was a wide receiver.
He was a receiver.
He was a wide receiver. That is running back, but he was a wide receiver. I mean, Kenny Gainwell, who's going to be probably the third, maybe fourth best running back, off the board in this upcoming draft, took over the backfield. He's a wide receiver. So sitting there and looking at it, what do wide receivers not have to do? Pass block. So guess what? They're going to take him out on potential passing plays because they can't sit there and say, hey, you have to go out on every single passing opportunity. So they're going to put in J.D. McKissick, who's a veteran who is probably a better pass blocker, although a lot smaller, and a lot less, strength to him. They're going to they're not going to sit there and show their hand. So when it comes to Gibson, he's going to get work in the passing game this upcoming season. The Redskins, I just slipped up. Thanks a lot, dude. Now you got me. The Washington football team, they're sitting there and they're, they can move on from him and only incur $500,000 in dead cap space while saving $1 million. J.D. McKissick probably won't even be there next year. Antonio Gibson is going to have that role as a 3-down back, and he's going to dominate. Antonio Gibson is a top 10 dynasty running back, and even for redraft, I would contemplate putting him there. But obviously, I want to see what happens as we get close to the season. What I'm more concerned about is finding a goal line, or them drafting a goal line back, and his goal line touches being diminished because they don't want to beat him up, trying to run some of these tougher routes. So like a player like Jordan Howard or something where they could vulture goal line touches is more what I'm concerned about. But once he has a full offseason to work with the coaching staff and work on his technique and blocking, the dude's not small. He can definitely handle some of these linebackers. What is he like? 220, I think.
Yeah, like
228, 230.
Yeah. He's a bowling ball. He's a bowling ball. He's built like a brick
house, man. Like he is ready to rock and roll. He just needs to work on his technique because he's never had to do it.
I'm saying he's an RB2 because I prefer for me to have Kamara, Henry, Cook, or just above that. I'm gonna go for the prestige first, and then I'm an RB heavy type of guy. So
I have Gibson right after Cook or Zeke. I don't remember where I exactly have him, but it's right after those guys.
I have him 7 right after Barkley.
God, you got Barkley at 6?
Yeah.
Ooh. Steffi Smalls, if she was here, she'd tear you up.
So Jorge, let me kick this over to you then, because you mentioned the draft a couple of times. What are your expectations, or what are your hopes that when the draft is over, Washington walks away with filling what?
For me, it's the free safety position. The secondary definitely was their Achilles heel this year, even though they played lights out. At the end of the day, when it comes to big play situations, they just weren't getting it done at the free safety position. Chase, you had mentioned, Ronald Darby and Jimmy Moreland. And I think from an IDP dynasty perspective, I think Jimmy Moreland is definitely somebody to keep an eye on. That being said, his target volume wasn't there. And so what do we talk about with IDP? You got to have the opportunity to make plays and points. So if you're not getting targeted, then I don't see his value skyrocketing. That being said, Darby, he had, both of these cornerbacks, Darby and Moreland, they've allowed a quarterback rating of, I think, 81 around there, which is pretty good considering the average, I believe, is like 88, 89. But I see Darby getting re-signed. I think he earned it on his 1-year prove-it deal, which really leaves the free safety position. I don't think they're going to transition Cam Curl over there. Why take that skill set and completely negate it at the free safety position? A rookie that I'm kind of interested in is Ardarius Washington out of TCU. Every report I've read about him says he's basically in the huddle of the offense. He like knows where they're going. He's breaking on balls before they even throw the ball. Like it's like he's clairvoyant almost. He's projected currently to go in rounds 2 or 3, but if they're really serious about addressing this defense and shoring things up in this draft, I see no reason why you would pass up on this talent with a first round pick potentially.
Robbie, let me ask you this, have you looked a lot at the draft and some of the rookies coming in, the wide receivers?
Yes, and I have a huge football man crush Paul's moment on Kadarius Toney right now.
Yes, me too.
As long as he can, he
we just become best friends. Oh my god!
All right, hey, so Chase, hear me out, right? Hear me out. So let's say we don't do the Marvin Jones. Like I'm a huge wide receiver buff. Like I play wide receiver. I'm a diva wide receiver, right? If we do not go for any of these free agent wide receivers, which I don't know why we wouldn't, that's exactly who I want. That's
second round, right? Second, maybe third.
Second or third. I don't know if he's gonna fall to the third. The only thing that I think that he falls to third is because we didn't have a combine this year, and when he broke on I believe it was, I want to say it was a deep post. It was a deep post route when he broke on that deep post route during the Senior Bowl warmups, and he dropped the ball.
Well, he should be targeting the deep passing game anyways, man. He's a slot guy. He has the human joystick for real. Like if you ever seen a human joystick, that is him.
I know, I know, but I know that I know how NFL execs and scouts like they're gonna look at that one thing and I'm like, but then I know there's also something I'm like, oh well, that was just one play. Look at everything else. They're gonna do exactly what you just did. And he's a human joystick. Let's go for him in round 2. I think he will be there in round 2. That's who I want, and yeah, I'm sticking with that.
He contributes on special teams too. I mean, he's one of the guys that once you get past that top layer, that I'm most confident is going to contribute. And there are times where I was watching him where I thought, this looks like Allen Iverson crossing a guy up and stepping back.
He was tough too, man. He would run people over. That shit was insane. Kadarius Toney, like I'm huge on Kenny Gainwell and I'm huge on Kadarius Toney. Those two people, like I'm smashing draft. Well, not for Washington, but as a whole. Now, let me real quick address the deep ball thing because it was actually kind of crazy. I did a study back it was like 3/4 of the way through the season because I do DFS. So I try to study, deep passing plays and everything like that. And I noticed that explosive pass play rates, Washington ranked towards the bottom or towards the top in ones allowed. Like plays over 20 yards, they actually didn't allow a ton. They were really good at not allowing plays over 20 yards. However, yards of 40 and more or plays of 40 yards or more, they were second worst. Or they allowed the second most. And yards in plays of 50 or more, they allowed the most. So it was like, if they were going to get behind the defense, they were gone. Like there was no chance. But those, intermediate routes that normally resulted in the 20-yard plays didn't happen as much. So to Jorge's point, free safety is definitely a position of need, but I feel like that's something that I'd rather tackle in free agency than spending draft picks on because I think the first thing that we need to address is the offensive line, hands down. That's something that we should not pass on. And, sitting there and looking at it, let's just say Rashawn Slater falls to us. I would smash that draft. I would, we shouldn't even wait the full amount of time. We should have that ballot in about 30 seconds if he's still up there. I don't care what trade it is. That is who we need. And then I would even think about taking Christian Darrisaw there. I think that's probably right around the range that he's going to go. So we need to make sure we get an offensive lineman in the first round of this draft. And yeah, both those guys, could be worth it essentially. Really if we don't get an offensive lineman in this draft, I'm literally just going to cry.
Really quick, I do just want to touch on what you just said about the Alistair Fair because Chase, I already knew that you were going to go offensive line, bro. Like I saw that, because you were saying the whole time. I was like, so he's going to have an offensive line breakdown. But when you guys, everyone out there in the chat, we're naturally going to do this as analysts, right? But when you guys are watching Tony's film, watch the way that he hand fights off the line, and he is nasty. He's so quick. It's literally from Floyd Mayweather, and then that Allen Iverson comparison. A lot of receivers, you'll notice that they kind of run like they're on a basketball court. It's from boom boom to, and he's ready to cross you up, and then that second move out, he has one of the nastiest double moves ever.
And he also is great with his balance and his like low play or low level of play. So essentially,
his center of gravity.
he plays very close to the ground when it comes to making some of these moves. So even if a defender does hit him, he doesn't go down because he can use his hands because he's literally crouching so low while making these cuts and making these moves. And it is mind blowing. This player needs to end up with Washington. And I hope that we still have time to talk free agents because that's what I really want to. This is where it's going to depend on whether we get Kadarius Toney or not.
Tony, I'm stealing your move next week on my flag football game, just so you know.
The guy that I was going to say actually is Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think from a slot, I think he would be a very good complement to Terry. Like when I watch him, I just feel like their games would mix very well. And look, there's a lot of really Toney and Ramon-Ra are two of the most fascinating. Their backgrounds. Toney was compared to Tebow at one point in his very first scrimmage with Florida because he was a quarterback coming out of high school. He's just there's a lot of interesting things. Jorge, free agency. There's room. You can bring in whoever you want. If they're going to bring in a big name skill position player, who's your best bet on who it is?
Big names. I don't know if I would say it was a big name per se, but his name has been dropped several times, and I agree. Marvin Jones is the guy I want as my wide receiver too.
Oh no!
I don't want Aaron Jones. I don't want Kenyon Drake. I don't want Chris Carson. I definitely don't want Philip Lindsay. Do we need Allen Robinson? Sure, everyone would love Allen Robinson, right? But teams we're gonna get outbid with that. I'd rather we have our one in McLaurin. I want to solidify the other positions on that.
What about Corvette?
Say that again.
Also Corvette coming to us. Juju.
You think Ron Rivera is going to put up with that crap? Like, come on.
No, I don't think I had to do it. I want to see if I can at least get you to crack a smile a little bit more.
Oh, you got me. Don't worry. Sure, he's a very talented player, but Rivera, as we had talked about earlier on, he has a certain tone that he sets, and he doesn't like certain things, and whether it rubs you the wrong way, it doesn't rub you the wrong way if you're winning. And so for right now, he's technically a division, winning coach. So
we're not even winning.
So take that for what it is. He won. Look, we're going to apologize for winning. I mean,
No, I told you they should apologize to us because they cost us a draft pick. Okay, they cost us an opportunity to move up for Sewell. All right. The amount of draft capital I would have gotten rid of to move up and pick Sewell is insane.
What about Mike Valverde here at RFL Red Zone on Twitter? Is Cam Sims ready to bust out? Any love for Cam Sims?
He acts like it. No, I don't know what it is. Like I feel like that's one of those players that I would have to sit down and I want to get to know off the field. I want to know more about off the field and see how that contributes and translate into his game. Because he played like when he goes up there and gets it, like he jumps out the gym, and he catches with both hands, looks the ball in, he does some really amazing things. That's somebody I want to know more about. Yeah. Oh gosh, AGG.
So that's who I want to know about. And actually, I didn't like the pick when we made it. I was not an AGG fan. However, he started to impress me a little bit more. I liked him. I thought he was cool, but I was like, okay, it's going to take him 4 years to develop and be able to contribute at what level. But he did a little bit more than I expected him to do. It was a little bit unfortunate that he got hurt. But watching him play in college, everybody was like 6 inches shorter than him and, didn't have the athletic profile. So it's pretty much, it looked like a college player playing up against high school kids, because of the level of play that he was at.
At Liberty,
yeah. Just go back and watch the game.
In my 8-team 60-man roster league, can I cut Kelvin Harmon?
I love Harmon. Don't do it.
Maybe Julio. Yeah, because he never got a shot. Like he's not going to get a shot.
Do you remember
coming off the ACL?
Well,
say it again, Jorge.
So especially he's coming off of the ACL injury, I believe, right? From preseason.
So many injuries.
Yeah, but that happened in the preseason, so you should have plenty of time. Well, not preseason, but off season.
Yeah.
So you should have plenty of time to heal up. I love Calvin Harmon. Do you guys remember the reports that came out about him trying to put on weight to become a tight end?
No, don't. I don't remember that.
I have some connections. I have a couple connections in the Washington organization I'm friends with some trainers and whatnot, and they were talking about how he plays more like a tight end than he does an actual wide receiver.
Yeah.
And if you go back and you watch his film, I was like, wait, he actually does. Like, this makes a lot of sense. So they were talking about trying to work him in and play the slot role as a big slot receiver and eventually move him to tight end when Logan Thomas, when they want to move on from Logan Thomas. But they love Logan Thomas over there. They love Logan Thomas. So sitting there and looking at it,
we'll talk about Logan Thomas. So, you could talk about the next Darren Waller, Kelvin Harmon, or Logan Thomas, either one.
I mean,
Robbie, start with you. Tight end.
So are the Hunter Henrys and such available at the tight end position? Yes. If it's not broke, I don't feel like we should run out there and fix it. Like we just fixed the Jordan Reed situation at this position. Leave this be. Let this one. Let's ride the wheels off of this one until it falls off in regards to Logan Thomas. That's really the best take I come up with in regards to that. I know a lot of Washington fans like, you wouldn't want to go and get Hunter Henry, dude. Like,
no.
I'm not trying to have us make a lot of adjustments. Like, if you notice, I think one of the biggest snares that you'll probably take away from all three of us is we're not trying to make too many adjustments because we know that we have a gut feeling that this is working, that there's something positive at work here. So let's not try and move too much around.
I would do a 5th round pick for Njoku, maybe 6th.
So we could go 12 personnel though, right? I mean, we still keep Thomas though, right?
Yeah, we'd still keep Thomas 100%. And then, Thomas only has he only signed a 2 or 3 year contract, something like that. So yeah, he's only going to be with us for one more year, most likely, unless he ends up showing out just like he did this past year. But I think we need to get another tight end ready because I don't want to be caught with our pants down, essentially. So either we're going to have to draft one later because this is a good tight end class, or we need to go ahead and address it with a trade right now. And I think a 5th round pick for Njoku would be perfectly fine. Now,
go ahead.
No, go ahead if you want to talk about this. But I still want to talk about my free agent. I still want to talk about my free agent.
No, I'll make it quick. I too am 100% on the Logan Thomas bandwagon. I think you look at the scheme coming from Carolina. I think a tight end did pretty well there by the name of Greg Olsen in that offensive scheme. You look at what he's doing. Look at what we did to end the season. We talked about the quarterbacks that we could potentially see coming here, and I think let's talk about that. Fitzpatrick, who is he throwing to? He was throwing to Gesicki. Gesicki did all right for tight ends, finished, I think, in the top 10. You look at Jameis Winston, Cameron Brate. I mean, you're looking at these options. Like, whoever we get in here is known for targeting the tight end. I feel completely confident in Logan Thomas going forward, both in redraft and in Dynasty. But that's just my take on that one. You were going to talk about your free agent?
Yeah, Chase, talk about your free agent.
Jorge, stop trying to force Ryan Fitzpatrick on us, okay? Stop it. Stop it right now.
It's going to be a thing.
I think it's going to be a thing. I really think that is the most Washington thing that can ever happen.
I now believe that's going to happen.
Okay, so the Juju thing, you guys kind of scared me away from that because I really love Juju Washington, and now you guys got me a little worried. You're true, that's true. Like, he didn't put up with the Josh Norman bullshit. Like, he didn't put up with Cam. Well, he did put up with the Cam Newton bullshit, but that's his star quarterback. So of course he kind of had to.
Yeah.
I still think that we will make a bid for Juju. Will it be the highest one? I'm not too sure, but we have plenty of salary cap space. I mean, he's only 23, 24. I think he's 23. So I mean, being able to sign in a long-term asset like that, who could help out a future quarterback, if we decide to go that route with a younger player, it's invaluable. So you can't put a price on that. So I think we'll do whatever it takes to get one of those younger guys. Now, what I really want to see isn't Allen Robinson, right? It's actually Chris Godwin making his way to the free agent market.
God, and winning his name.
So Chris Godwin paired up with Terry McLaurin. Chris Godwin coming out of the slot, and then we can alternate. We can have Harmon. We can have Cam Sims. We can have Antonio Gandy Golden. We can play the hot hand at wide receiver too. But if we can lock in one of these younger wide receivers and just have a duo of sick-ass wide receivers for the next 5 years without having to pay him big-time money. I mean, well, obviously we're paying one big-time money, but, not both. Like, dude, that's a lock. Like, that's a lock.
Chase, but isn't it such a Dan Snyder thing to go, let me go in and break out my checkbook really quick? Like isn't that like tell me that's not a Dan Snyder move?
Yeah.
If Dan Snyder has the ability to get any of these receivers, okay, and the more people that are going to be getting vaccinated, the more that we're increasing chances for fans to be in stands. What does Dan Snyder love? Money, fans in stands. He loves marketing. And what better way to market than to bring in you already have your now third year wide receiver McLaurin that you could put on the face of a ticket. Why not bring in another one in Chris Godwin? Like you're right. I love it. God and winning his name, put it together and let's go win.
I don't think he'll make it a free agency though. I really don't. I think they'll tag him before he does.
Yeah, he'll get a Super Bowl this year.
I got a question for you guys, right? And Kevin, you can actually throw in this one too. If you have the option, right, of seeing like Chris Godwin, Terry McLaurin, and then alternating that outside, receivers with Antonio Gandy Golden, Harmon, Cam Sims, or even if we draft a guy like what's his name, Seth Williams is, kind of like an outside receiver threat, right? Maybe in the 3rd or 4th round. If we have like that type of scenario, or would you rather have Corey Davis, Kadarius Toney, and Terry McLaurin? Because I think that you said Corey Davis earlier, right? So I actually that's something that I've been thinking about. Like we need a jump ball receiver, we need a possession guy, and that could be the guy. Like instead of using Terry McLaurin as a possession guy, although I still like him, running the intermediate routes, very similar to how DJ Moore operated.
You already know what I'm going to say.
Well, let's go to Corey first.
Yeah, that's how you're fair.
I'm not buying Corey Davis. I think he did well on a 1-year trial period where he was not, his 5th-year option was not picked up. Oh, all of a sudden he played really well. Yeah, I'm going to use that narrative, which gets overblown. I can understand that one. No, I'd go with option 1 there, Chase, if I had to choose.
Okay.
Robbie, last word on that.
That's why I would take him. For that exact thinking right there, exactly what Jorge just said, that's exactly why I'm taking it. Oh, they pass up on you, 5th-year option. Maybe you're just right now peaking right all of a sudden. You know what? Like, just come on. Like, we'll pay you cheap.
Devontae Parker 2.0.
Oh, talk that ism, bro.
But honestly, I don't think Devontae Parker is that great. I think he's good, but I don't think he's great. But I mean, that's not like Corey Davis is going to what level contract is Corey Davis going to command? Maybe 1-year prove-it deal for $10 million?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Because of exactly what Jorge said, that's exactly why I would make the move.
Well, as my normal co-host Matt Donnelly would say, I can't see Tennessee letting their wide receiver 1 get away from Tennessee. So Corey Davis is probably not going anywhere.
Right?
AJ Green, 1-year deal.
No.
Oh, God, no.
Don't do that to us, Chase, please.
Dude, he's better option on a 1-year deal. Is he better than Corey Davis, Jorge?
He hasn't even practiced on a real
Which one would you rather have? Wait, Jorge. Which one would you rather have, Jorge?
Look, the upside is there with AJ Green, obviously. But the consistency in recent years has not been there.
Which one would you rather have, Jorge?
I say AJ Green. I'd rather have AJ Green.
Vipers in the chat.
So I would love to do like another 20 minutes of just naming names and having Jorge react to them because his reactions tonight have been hilarious.
I do what I can.
And by the way, we did bring up Chris Carson earlier. I think that Chris Carson has a realistic chance to land with us, which scares the living hell out of me. I hate it.
Get the rolling out the door.
No, but there's a big chance. I mean, look at Ron Rivera running backs before Christian McCaffrey. I mean, we talk about Jonathan Stewart. We talk about what's his name?
D'Angelo
Williams. They're kind of like bowling ball type running backs, very similar, but he's always had 2. Mike Tolbert has played a role.
Yeah.
I sat there and I went through it before the season, and I'm like, dude, Antonio Gibson is never going to have the role all to himself. Even if he is a 3-down back, there's going to be some way that Ron Rivera is going to screw him over from becoming, a full-on 3-down back that is going to be a top 5 option.
If you remember that running back room at the beginning of the season, was completely convoluted. Like I was one of the analysts going on air, constantly covering the team, and I was like, "Why do we have 5 running backs?" Like with my Peter Griffin face, like I don't know.
I think we had 8.
Figure it out.
8 at one point.
Yeah, no, it was 5 because Geis, Love,
Peterson,
and then of course Peterson, Gibson, and
Peyton Barber.
Oh, Peyton Barber. Okay, so
there was. I'm telling you, I think we got up to 8 at one point. It was insane.
Right? Did we have one of the P Ryans? We had one of the P Ryans for a hot second.
He was
already cut. Yeah, he
had already got cut.
Maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was 8, but either way,
yeah.
It's all good.
No, it's still way too much. 60 minutes.
And with that,
no, we're not
ending the show.
We're not ending the show. We got more.
That is a show.
That's
our football team. That's our team spotlight right there. So, look, one last time, we'll go back around the room. Chase, where can everybody find you, and what do you have going on?
You guys can find me on Twitter, ff_intervention. We're just blowing up over there, and it's been a blast. It's been so much fun.
Announce what you're doing this week. You got a big show this week.
Oh yeah, I forgot. What am I thinking? We actually have a bunch of big shows going on. So we have
be on our show.
Yeah, well, we actually have we have RumBoyz over there. We actually have Jason Moore over there at 5:00. We have wow, I just had a brain fart. We have a bunch of crazy shows. We got another one at 8. We got another one at Friday at 5. It's been absolutely crazy. It's been insane.
RumBoyz, Robbie.
Yeah.
Hit us up. What's going on? Where can we find you? And what do you have to promote? You got a lot.
We got so much. Google me, RumBoyz, RumBoyz.com. Literally just type RumBoyz spelled with a Z, like you see it behind me. And Google, like we pop up everywhere. RumBoyz spelled with a Z, NET on social media. RumBoyz Fantasy Network on TikTok. Chase is going to be on the RumBoyz Fantasy Network. Actually, he has like a pretty big job Sunday. Like he's going to be like announcing like a musical guest and also doing some predictions. Like it's going to be crazy. It's going to be dope. We actually have you guys get a double dose of join our circle action all throughout the course of Super Bowl weekend. Steffi will be with us Friday night for RumBoyz After Dark, our Friday night show where we just bring you guys sports, comedy. The bar's open, everybody have a good time. It's for all the adults, so put your kids down and come have a good time. And then Sunday is our Super Bowl kickoff party. We have live performances. We're going to be giving away RumBoyz merch, some Monkey Knife Fight merch, an autographed Chiefs jersey, live music. I think I already said that. Like it's going to be a whole 3-hour festival online. So pull up,
Man, you say double dose of join our circle. It's like extra Kool-Aid. Is that kind of what?
Extra Kool-Aid, baby.
Extra Kool-Aid. Okay.
I guess, yeah. I think that analogy went over my head. I was like, yeah.
Chase those.
Oh God, man, it's been an adventure.
Jorge.
So you can catch all our content over at fantasyandframes.com. As we're getting back into the swing of football, we've been killing it with fantasy baseball. We cover 2 sports actually. So the Bullpen Bros over there with Nate Markham, Aaron Pags, and Todd Barnes have been doing just tremendous work. Head over to fantasyandframes.com. Check out all of our written content there, our articles, our rankings. Check out our podcast. We've had guests like Joe Pisapia on and Vlad Sedler in the fantasy baseball community. Again, football is just starting to crank up. We're excited for all the content we can provide, whether it's redraft, IDP, or Dynasty. We're really excited. We can't wait to bring this all to you to enjoy. And of course, we're really excited to interact with all you guys here tonight.
Jorge, do you want to break down the Nolan Arenado trade?
I do not, because I am not in the baseball. There's a reason why I deal with football. Those guys are the baseball experts, not me.
Hey, I got an article, RumBoyz.com. Y'all can go check out. Dilly.
There you go. Chase, let's reset.
Let me get a reset on that because I definitely was not expecting that. I didn't have any of my information up or anything, and we have so many shows going on. It's like, wait, what? What's going on? So no, we do have Jason Moore from the Fantasy Footballers. They come on at 5:00, and we also have Ryan McDowell. He comes on at 8. That's going to be both on Wednesday. We have our game show on Thursday, of course. That's at 7:00, and then we have Joe Bryant from Football Guys coming on at 4:00 on Friday. And then, of course, RumBoyz Net will be on with them on Sunday. So, yeah, we got a big lineup. We got all I'm looking at a list of names right now that I'm just like, okay, I need to get off here and go do some stuff,
Well,
you're better than me. I'm just follow me, and it's all posted.
Right.
Check the pin tweet.
Fun. I truly, genuinely appreciate all you guys for hopping on. This is a great group to talk to, and it's awesome to hear you guys talk about your favorite team. And that's the thing I've loved the most out of doing this series is just guys talking about everything that they love about their team, and the different moves, and you see the passion come out, and it just gets back to talking about football. Obviously, we love fantasy football, but I love being able to talk about football. So, you can find me at Calvin and Hobby. Make sure you follow the @Dynasty Vipers. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have a lot of things going on too. We got a bunch of shows this week. We got Adam Rank. We got Bob Harris. We got Sal Pal tomorrow night. There's a lot of exciting things. Articles coming out. We got some new writers coming in. So really cool. Check that out. DynastyVipers.com. For Chase, for Robbie, for Jorge. Jorge, do you want Jason Witten?
He has a job already. He's now a high school football coach in Dallas.
Greg Olson?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I was just going to toss out some more names.
No, I understand what you're doing. I think what you're doing there. I appreciate that, Calvin.
These guys